Man, I just want to say that intro. I don't know who picked that deep dark synth. I like that. That's like the Phantom of the Opera kind of tone.
I mean, it's a dope one. It's a dope one. But it is Monday night, and as you can see, Jordan and myself right here got a special guest, Brett Gardner P. What's going on? Because we are down Brian and
No,
Gene.
it's just like Gene said. It's
coming
not
on, Brett.
Brett. It's not Brett Garter P. It's Brett Garter 3. Yeah.
I was gonna
That's right.
say people are gonna watch and think Gene got fatter and a little uglier, but yeah, no, I'm doing great, guys. How you doing today?
I'm doing good,
Yeah, I'm
man.
good.
Yo,
Good.
I knew once Kyle dropped the link, I knew Brett was gonna hop right on it, man. That's how he is, man. I like that.
Yeah. Haven't done a show with you, Brett, so this will be interesting.
It's gonna be cool, man.
I'm always
Yeah.
looking forward to hopping on shows.
Yeah, it's all good. But I guess to let you know and anybody tuning in, just barbershop sports talks. We just throw some debatable
Yeah.
topics out there and we just kind of let it go.
So I mean, what we can do is we can since Gene and Brian, we can go over their question first,
Yeah.
and then kind of have like that baseline, and then we can just go off of your question, and Brett can cook up a question in the meantime.
Yeah, we could do that.
But Brett, please keep it 2012 Laker. You're not. I'm not gonna be good on a debate show with 86, 80, 70 Bulls Celtics history, man. Oh man,
I can
Brett's
keep
like,
it modern. Don't worry.
oh yeah, I see this.
Man, Brett, you come up with everything you want to come up with, man. I can talk all that, but yeah, we'll
Yeah.
we'll make sure.
I
Joe,
might have to leave the shelf that stage.
Nah, you good. All right, so we'll start with Brian's question because I know he threw one out there.
Mhm.
So his question was, he actually had two. So we'll go with the first part and then
Yeah, it was like a
we'll
back
use
to
the
back.
second one after that. Whose career would you rather have, CP3 or Westbrook?
Well, he didn't really when he did his question. He didn't really guard it based off like what this careers.
He just said career. So what we know about each of them right now, who would you rather have?
I think I would go with Chris Paul.
Okay.
I think I might go with Russell Westbrook because
I was about to say, because you're the one who threw out there about Chris Paul being a Hall of Famer. You had to go Westbrook.
listen.
You're gonna give me the chance to have the career of a top, you can argue 5 or 6 point guard of all time, and Chris Paul, 9-time all defense. Like,
I mean, I picked Russell because I will Anthony has a point. Like what Westbrook, what Chris Paul, like Chris Paul now. Chris
We
Paul
are taking
whatever.
the whole career into account. Whose career? Yes, whose career would you take? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Russell because he's more, prime Westbrook and OKC. He was explosive, and he played with, kind of like early on James Harden and a KD. I mean, Chris Paul is now playing with KD. When he's injury prone now, when KD was kind of healthy back in the day with OKC. And I mean, where Russell he could shoot, not as good as he can never really shoot as far as he can hit a mid range in OKC. He can dunk. He can go to the rim. And he, no matter what age he is in the NBA, he can still he leaves his heart on the court. He hustles for balls and everything. And Chris Paul, he's exciting to watch. He's a good dribbler. He's a good passer, but he can't dunk like Westbrook did.
So this is almost like a really fun question too, because it's almost like I think Russell Westbrook peaked higher than Chris Paul, but I feel like Chris Paul has been greater for longer. So it almost comes down to, would you rather have a higher MVP, win an MVP and have a higher peak, or just be greater for a longer stretch of time? And I would take the greatness over an extended period of time like Chris Paul has done.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, plus while I'm on air, I want to clear out the air. I said that Chris Paul is a Hall of Famer. It's just that like when it comes to careers, yes, I'm not arguing Chris Paul is going to be in Hall of Fame. Is the question is going to be a first ballot
Yeah, that's what
because
I said.
people say that with Russell Westbrook triple double, beating Oscar Robertson in OKC, that's gonna definitely put him have an edge over Chris Paul in the Hall of Fame
Chris
debate.
Paul
But
is still walking in.
Chris Paul is a Hall of Famer.
The minute Chris Paul says he's retiring, he's
Don't
going
matter.
in.
Chris Paul, are going. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll say both of them could retire right now and they'd be first.
no.
Ball
Yeah.
in 5 years.
People
Exactly.
but people in the network like Dylan, everyone said, well, Brad, aren't you the one that brought up the question in the group chat about Chris Paul and
I don't
Chris
think
Paul
so.
and Westbrook debate?
I would never question anything about Chris Paul being a Hall of Famer.
Someone did. I thought someone just started the whole conversation like a couple weeks ago.
I can't remember how it started either. I just know I looked at it and I thought it was wild. And I'm one of those. I love Westbrook more than Chris Paul, but I couldn't go that far to say Chris Paul wouldn't be a first ballot. I mean, if you look at him, he's gone to places, he's made teams better. Like if you take what he did in New Orleans, I mean, his prime in New Orleans was right up there with anything Westbrook did. The Clippers, he was probably the most consistent one out of that little trio that they had because Griffin and DeAndre Jordan had their limitations. Chris Paul never made it over the hump with them, but I mean, he was the better player out of the three. His Phoenix run, I mean, I feel like it's been pretty good so far. I do say that the championship that they lost to the Bucks probably was their best shot at one until this year when they got KD, but I'm still not penciling in the Suns as the automatic West favorite because of KD, but I would take Chris Paul, even though Westbrook, when he was at his highs, was great, but he had some really bad lows in there. And the way that his career is kind of going towards the end, even though I think he's still productive, but the way he's being viewed as like, not the best locker room guy, or skills or road and all that. I still don't think that's the thing. I just think if you have Westbrook on your team, you have to build your team a certain way. Westbrook needs all the lanes to the hoop to be effective. What happened in LA was those lanes were clogged up with AD. LeBron needs the same lanes to the hoop, so that's kind of what happened with Westbrook in LA. But I'm still a Westbrook guy, but I would still take Chris Paul.
I mean, like you said, how like at the end of Westbrook's career, like it's kind of like going down the hill as far as him finding a team and him finding a fit. I can say the same thing for Chris Paul. Like right now, he has to get KD to obviously win a championship. I mean, obviously, I think Chris Paul deserved. He should have been got it one ring, but it's like he's been injury prone. So it's like. But no, I'm not. I mean, yes, I feel like a locker room presence. I feel like Chris Paul. Yeah, he definitely. A lot of guys respect Chris Paul, and people like Westbrook. I mean, he's because of the why he would lay his life on the line on the court. You know what I'm saying? But as far as that aspect, I mean, yeah, Chris Paul has done a lot. He's more known for his assisting than his scoring. As far as he can still give you like 9-10 assists, here and there. But as far as career goals right now, it's like, I mean, he can retire. Like Brett said, he can still go to Hall of Fame today. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he needs to have another prolific star in KD to get a championship. Now it's like he needs help. You know what I'm saying? It's like.
I was going to say, Kyle, you brought up one of my best points on why I'd also pick him. It's the flexibility you have on offense. Because with Russell Westbrook, not only do you have to build around him a certain way, he needs the ball in his hands to be effective. With Chris Paul, you can play him on ball, off ball. you can pretty much play any scheme with Chris Paul, and it doesn't matter. He'll adapt. Russell Westbrook, he's already shown that he needs the ball in his hand. Otherwise, he's just going to be a high volume, low efficiency shooter, and it just doesn't work out very well.
Wait, so who you picking, Kyle? You picking CP3
I'll
or
take Chris
picking
Paul.
Westbrook?
Yeah,
Chris
I'll
Paul.
take Chris
All right.
Paul. Yeah, because I mean, if you look at the two of them, Chris Paul is your facilitating type guard. So, like Brett just said, it'd be easier with him building a team. Whereas
I mean,
Westbrook,
it depends on what.
I understand you're gonna say
Well,
Westbrook
no,
had the
it
triple
depends.
doubles.
It depends on what career you're talking about as far as Westbrook. Like, was it OKC? Like, cause I mean, he was averaging like 30, 10 assists and like 10 rebounds.
But even in Oklahoma City, would you look at Westbrook as prototypical lead guard? He was just a combo guard that was a dominant
He was
scorer.
just a slasher.
Yeah, he was a combo guard. Chris Paul is just a legitimate point guard. Hold on. Westbrook was about to get the sixth man award. He's learned. I agree. I said the way Westbrook was kind of like torn apart in LA, I never agreed with it. I always thought the fit wasn't good for him, but a lot of these analysts are making it seem like Westbrook could no longer play. I still think Westbrook can contribute. It's just he has to be in the right situation. That's yeah.
Absolutely. And bringing him off the bench as a six man, like you said, he's learning. It's a good role for him because he can still play Westbrook ball. He can have the ball in his hands. He can take as many shots as he needs to get going. So I think he can still play in this league too. I think he could be a very good piece off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And he could be a starter. I just don't think he can be a starter for a championship caliber team.
I can agree with that. Yeah. Because it's easy for him to be the best player on the court as a sixth man with a bench group. As opposed to a starter, you got to worry, if the number one guy is ball dominant, then Westbrook struggles there. And if Westbrook is coming in as your number one guy, then Westbrook's limitations may hold your team back as well. So, but yeah, I would take Chris Paul. So Jordan's got Westbrook, Brett and I have Chris Paul.
I mean,
you can't go wrong with either one.
I just pick Westbrook because of the play style. Like, I want to be able to dunk on embarrass people when I go into the rim. So it's like,
I mean, Chris Paul's embarrassed a few of his handles.
Oh well, handles. I'm talking about at the rim. I want to if someone's talking crap to me, I want to put them on their back. When I'm going to the rim. So at a high efficiency level, because it's like LeBron James. Like, if you're on a fast break, I mean, by yourself, 1-on-1, you're getting dunked on. Just like Westbrook, prime Westbrook. Like, he's fast. He was fast. But maybe if you're talking about what era of Westbrook, then I'd pick Chris Paul. But if you're talking about any era, I'd pick Russell. He reminds me of that John Morant, modern John Morant, dunking on people. So unless you're fine. But like you said, you can't go wrong with any choice.
Yeah, it's whatever your preference is. You want to dunk on guys at the rim, so Westbrook makes sense.
I mean, Kyle, if I'm Russell Westbrook and you're guarding me, Kyle, I'm gonna dunk on you, Kyle. Like, come on, you can pick out the way.
You also have to get to the rim to dunk on me. I could very easily take a charge.
We better not
if I leave you on the perimeter, there's a good chance if you take that shot.
We better not slide your feet. That'd be a block.
I was a defender. Okay, I can slide my feet.
No. I'm saying if you slide your feet, it'll be a blocking foul. If you're stationary, it's a charge.
I know how to play defense. All right, give me that at least.
Well, being a goalie is different than playing basketball, man.
I play basketball too.
All right.
Yeah. I was a power forward.
I get to see your jump shot, man.
Don't worry about that. That's coming. That's coming.
Yeah, no worries.
No, I can shoot. Trust me. The video's coming. All right, just hold on.
All right.
So that could be even longer. So the second part of Brian's question was Draymond Green or Dennis Rodman? Whose career would you rather have?
Tough one. Because I mean, he was a part of that '73 9 season Draymond, and then Rodman played with Jordan. Man, but he was a party pooper though. He was partying a lot. So,
Hey, Rodman lived his life. That's one
like,
thing
aren't
you
they
can't
making a
take
movie
away.
on him soon?
If they aren't, they better, because I'm sure
I think the dude in
his
Creed's
stories off the
playing him,
court.
not Jordan. Michael B.
Wow.
Jordan, the other guy's playing him. I think that's what I
Oh,
heard.
was it, Jonathan Majors?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, in the Robin movie.
That guy's doing everything right now.
Yeah, that's a good question. Robin or Draymond?
I mean,
Because they both do the same thing in like a modern, like they both can rebound. They couldn't really score. Well, interior scoring they could, but
personally, I would honestly, and I'm sure this is going to draw some hate, but I would take Draymond. I think he has a better offensive package than Rodman, and I would take the offense that Draymond gives me over the extra rebounding that Rodman provides. They're both elite defenders. Like, they're both like the best defenders of their generation. Good. Like, not saying that they both were, because there's some tough defenders nowadays and back then, but they were both very, very high level defenders. So if I pretty much had to pick, I think I would go Draymond, and it just comes down to I'll take the extra offensive playmaking. And like in 2016, Draymond shot 38% from three. Like, he could shoot the ball too. So give me the extra offense that Draymond provides over the extra rebounding that Rodman does.
Okay. I mean, the thing that they said about Rodman was he could score more if he wanted to, because early in his career at Detroit, he actually had an offensive game to him. Then at a certain point, he just became a rebounder and agitator. And that's kind of the lot in life he wanted in the NBA.
Yeah,
More people remember him for like the Karl Malone stuff, tripping him up and all that, the crazy tie-dye hair and all that. But
oh no,
I
yeah,
mean, he'd shoot a three every once in a while, and you'd be like, all right, so he can shoot a little bit, but
yeah, it's just tough because we kind of he didn't really do it often enough for me to be comfortable in saying that he's above Draymond offensively. Like I said, it's no disrespect to Rodman. He was phenomenal. He was a fun player to watch. So you want a center to score a lot, to play defense a lot? Are you asking? I'd rather have a center that can play defense and score from have range from beyond the arc instead of Rodman's more so layup range.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna have to go with Brett. I think I'm gonna go Draymond too, because he can play defense and score. Also, he can assist too. He can they had that famous off ball play where Draymond's off ball picks off and then be like, yo, Curry, go to the corner. For Curry's corner three. So he can if anyone were to ask me would you rely on Draymond or Robin to hit a three, I'd probably say Robin, because he couldn't shoot really he was more interior presence, where Draymond, okay, if he's open, he might hit a three here and there once in a while, but like Brett, like hit it right on the spot. Like, his offensive package is better than Rodman's, and in this day and age of modern basketball, offenses you have to score. So
I mean, you can get away not being a scorer. So I'm gonna take Rodman. Like, you can get away not being a scorer as long as you are elite at something. And we know Rodman was elite at rebounding.
So in that case, who's better, Rodman or Gobert?
So like either
I feel like Rodman's more useful, because Gobert, I still have questions at times with Gobert, like how much you necessarily can do with him. Like, if he has an off night and he gets into foul trouble, one, could I trust him to stay in the game and play good defense? Then also with him, it seems like he kind of gets in the way a lot offensively with Gobert. Whereas Rodman, I feel like Rodman understands, because when I watch Rodman, I could tell Rodman's like a really smart basketball player. It's just that all of the outside stuff is what people focused on so much that, I think people lost the fact that Rodman was a really good basketball player.
I mean, he was, yeah.
Most people just know him for his antics, and they just think, oh yeah, he rebounded a couple of times, whatever. But it's like, no, for him at his height to have as many rebounds as he did, that means you have to play the position game in terms of when a shot goes up, you have to know where to be positioned under the hoop to get it, and that is something that you can't teach. Not a lot of guys have that instinct in them because you have a lot of big men who can't even rebound. They'll get you like 4 or 5 rebounds a game, whereas Rodman, he'll get you 20 easy.
Oh, absolutely. Rodman was definitely elite in that regard, and he played in an era where the three-point line wasn't so prevalent, so there were other big bodies in the paint.
Yeah.
And he'd always find a way. So, absolutely, Rodman's arguably the best rebounder of all time when you factor in height. If he's not the best, he's right up there.
Yeah, I mean, I would choose Rodman too because he played with Jordan, so he wouldn't want to play with Jordan. Well, let me take that back because most people don't hate Jordan because he pushes players to the limit. But as far as playing with a GOAT, I mean, I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that for granted. I don't know, man. I mean, because if you're Draymond, you play with the Curry and Clay, like prime Curry, on a 73-win season, even though the Cleveland Cavaliers, won that championship that year. Took away from them. They were down 3-1, but I mean, still, you're playing with a prime Curry, prime Clay.
I see what you did there with your LeBron guy self. They lost 3-1 lead.
I mean, it's facts though. I mean, that was the year that happened. I mean,
I know,
but it's like, yeah, do you want to play with that kind of Draymond, play with Curry and Clay pre-injury to Clay, or would you want to play with Jordan, like Pippen? And I mean, it'll occur. I mean, he was on that team a couple years, so it's like.
Say Game 7, Rodman almost had a 27-point triple-double in that 2016 finals. That was impressive to watch.
But you said Rodman or Draymond?
Draymond, sorry, not Rodman. He definitely was dropping a 27-point triple-double in 2016.
Yeah. I mean, they both were, blessed to play with other great players because obviously you would never have a team and have one of those guys be the star of the team.
Was Rodman drafted to the Bulls or was he traded to the Bulls?
He played Pistons. He played with the Spurs.
Free agent signing, right? In like 95 offseason.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah.
It was after they got knocked out by the Magic. I think they went out and got him because they really needed a Horace Grant replacement because they were really lacking that power forward.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things that those guys can't be the main focal point and star of your team, but you need that guy on your team to win.
Yeah, like you
don't have that guy guys like that.
Yeah, plus you need a guy, that can, if your team's down, you can have that spark. Like Draymond would, get a tech for, to get their team, I mean, tech is bad or, flagrant, but it kind of gets your team up, with morale, So Rodman, got in fights and stuff and kind of like around in the team. But sometimes, like now the NBA had a league or not a league, but a thing where if you get like a certain amount of text, it's like a 1-game suspension. So players gotta be careful with that, as far
some
as
guys don't care about that. Rasheed Wallace never cared about that.
Didn't Draymond get like that 1 year? I think it was a year. I know what you're gonna do, but that 1 year Draymond got suspended that 1 game because his flagrants were up there.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not wrong, if I'm correct, I think that he did get a suspension.
No,
I think he kicked LeBron in the groin.
So
the jury's out on that one.
I'll say he kicked Steven Adams in the groin.
I mean, that one was way worse than the LeBron one. I mean, that was just blatant.
So, I mean, you had your Draymond Greens, your Rodmans, your Patrick Beverleys, of people who will get, won't really contribute as on the stat line, but will give you that fire, of, fire, that people who get you riled up, talk shit.
Yeah.
That's what Rodman did. I mean,
yeah, they're
even now Dylan Brooks, he's annoying now. So yeah, Dylan Brooks. Man. But he's just picking fights to pick fights. So.
Dylan Brooks is just trying to make a name for himself. That's clearly all he's trying to do. And I think Memphis is kind of doing that because the Golden State crew is still there. You know, the Clippers, Denver, all these teams are there. And Memphis is feeling like, yeah, we're kind of just in that other group. We want to be up there. We talked about Golden State, so they tried to become a tougher team and all that. Now, you might say Morant may have taken it too far with the stuff he got into, but I mean, younger teams, they kind of struggle to find an identity. Memphis wanted to go back to the Grindhouse Grizzlies. You know, Zach Randolph and those guys were tough teams to play against, and it seems like this group is trying to do the same. Maybe it works out for them, maybe it doesn't. Well, only time can tell. All right. So those are Brian's questions. I know. Should we go with mine or yours, Jordan?
What was Gene's question?
I don't think Gene gave us one. Yeah, he didn't.
Really? I thought he did for some. I thought he did.
Gene, I hope you're enjoying your vacation, brother.
Exactly. Well deserved.
Absolutely.
Man puts in work.
Yeah, you're right. He didn't. I thought he posted one for the chat.
No. Actually, we'll go with mine. We'll save yours. So mine was kind of connected to March Madness as well as the draft and the combine in the NFL. Who was a player that you thought was like a can't miss prospect, and then they got into the league and really disappointed you?
Are you talking about just like any player that?
Yeah, a player that you saw in college was like that's the next guy, and then he gets into the league. You probably forgot about him because he didn't really contribute anywhere.
That's easy, man. For me, Greg Oden, man, and a top prospect, big man. Then the next few years, I see him like Disney had like crutches or something like that, or he got an injury or something like that, and then he was out of the league. So it's like that's an easy one. I mean, a lot of people were talking about him. I think he was the number one pick, right? The number one pick out of
No, I think he was 2. Oh no, he was number 1.
Durant was 2.
Yes, because I remember that was the draft. The Celtics might have got the top pick, and Danny Ainge said I'd have taken Durant 1 anyway, and everybody was like, "No, you wouldn't have." So yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean that was pretty easy. Greg Oden, because a lot of talk was talked about him pre-draft, and he had a couple good games, maybe a year or two, and then boom, he just fell off the face of the earth. And then I mean I don't know if this like there was a video like it was like an older lady. It's just like, do you play basketball? And then
I saw
like,
that. Yeah. I mean, it's cool that he's kind of getting his degree and all that stuff now. But with Oden, the only thing I'd say is that was more of his body just letting him down because he already had like the condition with like one leg longer than the other, and so his body was just like out of balance just in general. I think that's something we kind of learned about once the injury started happening, that I think it was like his left leg was a little longer than his right leg. So he had to like wear a special shoe on. It was the whole thing, but like his body was like literally out of balance. So I can understand that.
It's so unfortunate. That Blazers team would have been so good if they could have stayed healthy. Brandon Roy, Greg Oden, that team had LaMarcus Aldridge.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Lonzo Ball too because now he's like he wasn't really I don't know. I don't want to be embarrassed on TikTok for saying he's a bust, but I mean he hasn't really played since like 2-3 years.
It's been a while.
He had a couple good games.
The way Chicago's talking about him seems like we could be seeing the beginning of the end for him.
I know Anthony Cobbs in the group chat said that we'll see how he does in 6 months, but I mean like come on, like what if he gets injured again? Then what? After coming out of surgery, I mean, so
yeah.
I was kind of tired with the Greg Oden and then Lonzo Ball.
Okay, Britt, you got anybody?
Oh yeah, mine hits really close to home. 2014 draft. I really thought the Bucks had their player of the next decade when they drafted Jabari Parker.
I love Jabari Parker.
Oh, Jabari, man.
No points.
He had a couple good years in
did, because
Milwaukee, but
he tore his ACL, and then he was averaging 20 a game. He was looking really
man,
good, and then he tore it again.
he was like
That was
he was like
it for him.
a Chris Middleton before he got there. You know, with that
Yeah,
that
like
corner
a
specialist that
draft day comparison was like Carmelo Anthony, and I was so hyped. I was so ready. I thought he was going to be so good, and then 2 torn ACLs, and
That's crazy you said it because wasn't Jabari Parker picked before Giannis in that draft?
No, Giannis was the year before in 2013. No,
But that made sense though, because nobody really Giannis was playing like second division over in Greece.
Nobody expected
Nobody
Giannis
really knew who he was.
No, the only people who did were Old Dominion, apparently.
Yeah, yeah.
He said he would play at Duke too, but he came out and said that.
Coach K would have loved to have a Giannis.
But like Brad makes a good point because Jabari Parker, like he was that guy like that everyone thought was going to be good, and then when Giannis came in town, because there was a story that came out. I read an article and it was like a Bucks insider who had some insight on like their training camp, and this dude skinny Giannis, no muscle, undersized, but they thought Jabari Parker was gonna be the guy. And then Giannis, was like, okay, F all y'all, I'm gonna get muscle. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I saw him when Jason Kidd was a coach. When I was in Maryland, I went to a DC game. They were playing the Bucks, and Giannis, I was like courtside. And Giannis, that dude was he still had like the mohawk kind of. So he was, but he obviously gained a lot of muscle between them between now and then. But yeah, I mean, Jabari Parker, like he was supposed to be the guy, and like Brett said, like he was supposed to be that piece that they needed. But
I love Parker when he came out too.
What college did he go? He went to Duke.
Yeah, Duke.
Yeah. For me, this one's a little bit more recent. Jarrett Culver. When Jarrett Culver was at Texas Tech, and they had that run in the tournament, I thought Culver was going to be a big-time star in the NBA. He could shoot the three. He had the mid-range game. He could get to the rim. He was a good defender. And seeing the way the NBA was going, was like, Culver can't miss. At this point, I couldn't really tell you where he was. I think he's in Atlanta somewhere sitting on the bench, but he doesn't play for him.
Might be Minnesota. I don't know.
Minnesota drafted him. They've traded him away already. And I also loved the fit when he went to Minnesota. I thought that was a perfect place for him. He didn't really play there. And now I wonder if he's just going to be a journeyman at this point. But that was the guy I thought he had every tool that you needed. And for some reason, he just can't get on the court. And I mean, there's a few others like that. Cam Reddish is the guy past a couple of years who's gotten a lot of attention as a really talented, guy who can't get minutes in anybody's rotation. And I actually did have an NFL one, so I'll throw that one out as well. Maurice Claret. I thought he was going to be, a big deal in the NFL. He had some of the off the field stuff that really hurt, but I mean, when he's at Ohio State, like he had everything. And it just never material. All right, skip that word. I can't say it, but it never really came into anything in the NFL. Really. I mean, the words stay out of the tip of my tongue. It just wasn't flowing. So,
like you bring up a good point about NFL. I was gonna say Plaxico Burress. You think he's a bust for his off-field? He was a high. He did play some good years in the Giants, and then boom, that happened. And then he's out of the league.
Burress was a bust, though, because Burress had productive years before that.
He did. But I'm saying this the off-field antics and stuff.
I got you. Yeah.
And then he put on Pittsburgh, and it kind of like dwindled a little bit, and then boom, he just disappeared.
I can see that. All right. Brett, do you have an NFL one or another NBA one you want to throw out there?
Pretty much any Packer drafted in the mid 2010s. Kevin King, I really thought was going to do something, and that never materialized.
Man, what about haha Clinton Dix?
Yeah,
No.
haha, too. I think if I really had to pick one, it would be Kevin King. I really thought he could be. I didn't think he was going to be top 5 corner in the league or anything, but I thought he could be a really, really good number 2, and that didn't even materialize. His career highlight is getting burned in a go route in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, that was not a good day for him at all.
I'm trying to think of any other players that were like busts ever.
I mean, there's quite a bit of them. I mean, I can say I was disappointed by Grant Hill's career because of the foot injury that really. Because if he had stayed healthy, like Grant Hill was legit. You know, he didn't have the best perimeter game, but it almost seemed like once the injury happened, he became a better perimeter player after that. Especially like in Phoenix, he was a deadly 3-point shooter. I mean, Price brings up a good one. Matt Leinart. I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good one. But yeah, so Grant Hill, like, if it wasn't for that Detroit playoff series where he obviously should have been playing, but you know, the competitor that he went out there, did so much damage to his foot that he was never the same, you know, slashing to the hoop and all that dunking on guys anymore. But he did really change his game, and you know, I do respect the way that he aged gracefully towards the end there. But we were definitely robbed of really great Grant Hill years.
I'll say that 2003 Magic team is one of my biggest what ifs of all time. What if Grant Hill could stay healthy, and what if Doc Rivers then screw up getting Tim Duncan in free agency?
Yeah.
Yeah, we said that, Greg Oden. Yep.
Yeah. Jordan brought up Greg Oden. All right. I guess we go to your question, Jordan.
So before I kind of mess up this wording, so the question I have is so kind of like with the March Madness, you know, we all got the now we can do our brackets now. They did the NCAA and they did the NIT. Speaking of NIT, a team like UNC, I know we all have heard that that UNC kind of didn't want to play because they were the champions. No, they weren't. I'm sorry, Kansas was champions last year. But the other year they were champions, right? Because they beat Duke. Or was that the game? I'm so confused. Was that the game before they went to the championship last year?
I mean, UNC won a title recently, for sure. I couldn't tell you exactly which year, but they did win one. Like, at least within the last 5 years, I would say.
It had to be I know. So Kansas won. They beat UNC last year.
Yeah.
I just gotta, because I'm gonna say, because the whole point of the question was, you know, they were ranked high in like the preseason polls as far as like top teams in the.
I think they're preseason number 1.
Yeah, and so my question is, with the whole NIL and the college basketball, like teams like top teams that were projected to be to stay number 1 in preseason poll, and should they play in the NIL just to get more eyeballs on them and be like, this team should have been in a tournament. That's a wrong decision for them to or the committee did a bad thing on their part for not getting them in, or should a team like that just not play? So not just UNC, just like any other teams, like should they decide to play in the tournament to get more eyes to their school, or with that aspect. So I don't know if that's the worded question, if I did it right.
Okay, so I say, like, if you are a prohibitive favorite going into a season, for whatever reason, you don't live up to the expectations and you miss the NCAA tournament. We've seen teams will sit there and be like, we'll decline the invitation to the NIT. Should a team like that do that in that situation, or should they just play the NIT? If you win the NIT championship, at least you won something in the postseason. And depending on how your makeup of your team is, You could have seniors, at least it'd be more games for them, underclassmen experience. So would you would you do the UNC thing, or would you do the opposite and accept the invitation, even though you might be embarrassed to be in the NIT?
You can go ahead, Brett. You can go first.
I think it's situational depending on team composition.
Okay.
So if I have a team full of like one and dones who wouldn't play in the tournament anyway, what's really the point?
Okay.
But if it's a team of like all like juniors and seniors who after this year maybe this is their last chance to play college hoops, maybe I will give them that chance. Who cares if it's looked down as like a downgrade? Like I think at the end of the day, all that matters is what do the athletes want? What are the kids? What's best for the athletes? What's best for the organization? So, honestly, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was kind of confused as to why UNC dropped out of the NIT because I know they weren't going to make the tournament, the big dance, or the
I'm sure if you ask the kids at UNC, they still thought they had a chance at it.
I mean
every
well, just like
that.
who said it on one? I mean, it was a point. The ACC. I'm not gonna lie. The ACC division was kind of weak this year with like Duke. I mean, because Duke should have been higher than a fifth, but I mean they kind of lost games they shouldn't have lost to this year. But I get it. UNC. I mean, if I was UNC, I would definitely play. Even though, like you said, it doesn't mean as much as the big championship for the college tournament. But I mean, just like Brett said, it's like you're winning something. But then again, it's situational. Like, is there a risk for injury to a top player like a senior like Baycott? Where he might go in the draft. So it's a matter of what the players want to do. I mean, I don't think playing an NIL or NIT would boost their draft stock. Maybe, I don't know. But I mean, yeah, it's all depends on the player what they want to do. And did UNC come out and say why they didn't want to, or did just didn't?
They
give a
basically
reason or
just
a
said
statement?
they would move on to next season. That's basically what they said.
Yeah, because I guess their goal was to make it to the tournament. I guess that's probably like you said, Kyle. Like you said, maybe going to the NIT would be an embarrassment because maybe like we both said that they were in the number one preseason poll, so they didn't expect them to be this down in their rankings, and they said, all right, well, we're worth more than an NIT championship, or tournament. So, but like Brett said, it's definitely situational, and like you said, Kyle, it's more exposure for the freshmen, sophomores, but then again, for a senior that might not play again in the UNC uniform, it'd be their last chance to show what they're worth in the UNC uniform before they go to the draft or go somewhere else. So it's definitely situational.
I mean, the one thing that does hurt college basketball is the size of the roster isn't like college football, where we saw teams make bowl games and players sit out. Yeah, if a quarterback sits out or something, you've got 3 or 4 backups you could turn to. If Baycott and 3 other guys were like, yeah, we're not playing, what team are they putting out there to really perform in the NIT? And then if you don't win the NIT, then the season looks even worse because you're UNC in the NIT, you should dominate. But if you go out in the first and second round, it just makes a bad season even worse. We've seen different instances with it. Like Rutgers was mad they didn't make the NCAA, but they came out right away. It was like, oh, we'll accept the NIT because for a Rutgers program that's still trying to make a name for itself, if Rutgers goes ahead, wins the NIT, they springboard that into next season where now they're probably ranked a little bit higher preseason. Some guys get exposure to tournament play and it probably benefits them. But if you look at Ben Simmons with LSU, I believe with that one, some of the players wanted to play in the NIT. Ben Simmons was leading the charge of not playing. And with Ben Simmons, a lot of people raise questions about his desire to play, which I mean, as his career has gone on, has just been asked more and more and more and more. So it's definitely tricky. I'm assuming Hubert Davis, the coach of UNC, asked his players, and they were probably like, there's really no point. So, I mean, I said I would still play only because, one, Hubert Davis, first year as a coach, it's just more experience for him to, find his way at UNC or whatever. But I get it. Smaller rosters in college basketball, you couldn't really risk that if certain guys didn't want to play. So, I mean, I'm not too mad about it, but it's definitely something that teams really have to think about. But, hey, maybe Rutgers wins it all.
I mean, there's a lot of ups or not upsets. There's a lot of surprise things that didn't make it. Like you said, Rutgers. But like my friend, he's a Rutgers fan. They had a lot of quad 3 losses. And they're so that kind of hurt them. But definitely, I mean, I was shocked to see them. Actually, you know what? Your March Madness question was kind of your question. So I'm my own question actually. Out of the March Madness pool, what out of the teams that were not picked to be in the tournament, what teams did you expect to be in the tournament that are not in there?
Oh, so
we got who was the surprise team that you thought that was because I know this is like off the dome question, because I thought about that because people said the committee was kind of bad this year with the whole.
Their explanations weren't the best, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the biggest one was I think Rutgers because I thought they're going to be in it. I think that Michigan win the other day was big. I know they lost to Purdue like the other day, but I was shocked. I mean, they played fairly well this year. They got some good players on that team. They got Cliff. They got some good shooters. So I'm kind of surprised that they're not in. A lot of people were shocked that they weren't in. And Nevada got in before them, so it's like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you follow college basketball, Brett, like we do, but I'm not.
I would say I followed a little bit. I just have trouble trying to figure out which teams I'm supposed to be following or not.
Right.
No, that's a good point. There are way too many teams.
I mean, there are a list of teams that didn't make it.
I would say, you threw Rutgers out there. I was kind of surprised Clemson didn't get in. I thought Clemson had a really good year, and I thought that it might have been LaFonso Ellis brought up a really good point. He basically said, like, if UNC had Clemson's profile, would UNC have been left out like Clemson? And LaFonso Ellis was like, not a chance. UNC would have got in with Clemson's resume. And if that's the case, then what really kept Clemson out? I do think Clemson was hurt by the ACC being a little bit down this year because I do agree with that. Because, outside of Duke, like who was really a good team in the ACC is a lot of like B minus, C plus type teams in the ACC this year. Miami's, Virginia Tech's, all that. But I mean, my BC Eagles were a 500 team in the ACC. That probably tells you all you need to know because most years they're not even that good. Oh, the new coach there is doing some things, but I would say Clemson was probably a big surprise for me not getting in. Vanderbilt
too. It looks like Rutgers, Vanderbilt.
In there.
So we got Rutgers, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma State, Clemson, and North Carolina top 5. But I thought there were 8 teams. Did Villanova make it?
No,
I did not see them either.
Well, Villanova was like 17-16, and a lot of their season they had missed a couple of star players, so that made sense. But I'd go Clemson. Rutgers as well. Rutgers had a good year. Yeah, I thought Rutgers did enough down the stretch to get in, but
at least how many seeds can you like? What's the highest, lowest seed? Like a 12 seed or 16?
Usually big name schools. Usually 11th. Outside of that. Maybe 12.
Like so, it's from like 1 to like what's the
Oh,
I mean, I
so it's
thought Rutgers
one.
was going to make it at least be like a lower seed going to the tournament at least.
Yeah, I mean, Rutgers could have been like an 11 seed. I wouldn't have been
Right.
mad. Yeah. All right. I mean, I don't really. I mean, Brett, you have another question you want to throw out there or anything like that?
I'll say I can throw out a question for us.
Okay.
All right.
So obviously, seemingly forever now, the NBA MVP race has been locked up. It almost feels like.
Mm-hmm.
What would
Uh-oh.
somebody like, let's for example, Joel Embiid or Giannis? What would somebody have to do to unseat Nikola Jokic as the number one, as the MVP right now in basketball? Right now,
That's a good
person,
one.
I personally think that Joel Embiid has the best chance, and I think his best chance to do it is he has to absolutely obliterate Jokic when they match up on the 27th. And I think he just has to really just dominate, and the 76ers have to go on a phenomenal run. But what do you guys think? Like, is there any way for someone like Embiid to unseat Jokic, or should we just all start our congratulations Jokic for MVP banners now?
I mean,
That's an
man.
interesting. I actually thought about something like this earlier today because for me, I feel like Embiid. I think the NBA wants to give Embiid an MVP. He's had some bad luck the past couple of years. I also think that Embiid's personality on the court kind of turned some people off with a lot of his antics and all that. But now I think Embiid's actually become sympathetic because we see him in Philly. We see, Harden isn't the same Harden. Tobias Harris has been a disappointment. Ben Simmons was a failed experiment. So it's almost like Philly keeps trying to put players around Embiid to help Embiid out. Nothing has worked. And now it's to the point where people are like, Embiid should be frustrated in Philly. Doc Rivers is his coach. A lot of people don't like Doc Rivers. He had Brett Brown. A lot of people thought Brett Brown was over his head. So it's almost like Embiid has gone from this arrogant guy that a lot of people didn't like to now he's a sympathetic figure that people are like, look what all that he's had to deal with. Now, for me as a Celtics fan, I hope they keep it up because I don't want to see Philly win. That's the last thing I need. I couldn't handle that. But I do agree with you. I think if Embiid, when he matches up with Jokic, dominates him in a way that voters have to be like, look, yes, we get it. Jokic has this all-around game, but maybe Embiid's just the more dominant player. And if we want to look at the MVP, the dominant player might be more valuable than the all-around guy. Maybe. I mean, I'm a big Jokic guy as well. I know a lot of people are sick of Jokic at this point. If he were to win 3 in a row, a lot of people, wouldn't like that. The same way when Nash won his back-to-back, people didn't like that because they assumed Shaq was going to get it one of those years. Maybe even both, depending on what you thought. But, or I think the first year might have been over Kobe and the second one was Shaq, something like that. But it's tough to win 3 in a row because we hear about voting fatigue, but Jokic just seemingly has been really steady these past few years. And if Denver were to win the West and become the West number 1, I don't know if there's anything Embiid could do, unless Philly somehow wins the East and becomes the East 1 seed. That might be it. If Philly ends up first in the East, then maybe Embiid has an argument for himself. Hold on. Anthony said nothing. Jokic had 35, 20, 10. That's amazing. He wake up with a triple-double. Very true. And Embiid don't pass the ball. Yeah, I could sit there and say, who should he necessarily pass to? That's what some people are trying to realize now.
I think Embiid's like, obviously he's not an elite passer. Like he can make basic reads.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, though, why would he even need to pass the ball most of the time? He plays with the assist leader. James Harden will do the heavy load, like have the heavy burden in playmaking. But listen, Anthony, I agree. I think this is Jokic's award to lose.
If Gene was here, oh my God, he would eat up Anthony Price, man.
I think that Jokic, as long as he doesn't like tear an ACL in the next week, as long as Denver doesn't just plummet down the standings, nothing dramatic happens. Jokic is the MVP this year. Next year, it's fair game. I think Giannis could be back and help like play a full season. Embiid will always be in the running. Luka.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Jordan?
Because another guy that the NBA would love to give an MVP award to. Yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
I mean, it's gonna be hard for Embiid to like catch Jokic this year because, like Brett said, he has to, Embiid has to actually just go on a um, rampage for the last how many games, like 15, 20 games left in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that I don't know when they wrap up the MVP race. Maybe
it's a regular season award, so to get to the regular season, that's it.
I don't. Well, I mean, Embiid. Let me see, because I looked up an interesting. So Joel Embiid, in his last 13 games, he had 39 points, 49 points, or 39, 39. 42 points, 31, 35, 27, 41 points, 27, 32, 29, 23, 37, 35. I mean, that's the 13 games. I mean, they didn't give his other stats, but I mean, he probably has to average those numbers all those games to touch Jokic. Can he do it? Possibly, yes. But like you said, Kyle, who can? Yeah, Jokic is a better passing big man than Embiid, because he has Michael Porter Jr. He has Jamal Murray, not down shooters, but like you said, Kyle, who can Embiid? Yeah, he can pass the ball, but who can he pass it to? I mean, maybe a Tyrese Maxey, Harden, Tobias Harris, but he's streaky. Korkmaz. I mean, Niang. I mean, come on, let's be for real here. But what's the point? Like Brett said, if he can pass it, he can just if he has a mismatch down low, why need to pass it when you can just obliterate your teammate down low in the post? Now, I don't know. It's gonna be a hard mountain to climb for Joel Embiid to get it, but like you said, I mean, NBA wants to give Joel Embiid an MVP. I think he at least deserved it a couple years ago, but look at the supporting cast. That's how I said on my show, if they don't get to the Eastern Conference Finals, or if they don't get to the finals at all, look for Embiid to look for a trade, or to get Doc Rivers out of Philly. One of those has to happen.
Doc Rivers will lose his job before Embiid's out of there. There's no way that they move Embiid and Doc Rivers that job. That would be wild.
If they choose Doc over Embiid, fire the whole organization.
Yeah, I'm sure Gene would be fired up if they pulled that off.
I think I would be fired up, and I'm not even a Philly fan.
Yeah, that'd be wild. I mean, to Anthony's point, Jokic doesn't score a lot. It's the triple doubles that's helping him win the MVP. Jokic affects the game more areas than Embiid does. And I think that definitely helps. With Embiid, it's if he doesn't score 40, could he dominate without doing that? Whereas Jokic could go 10 points, 10 rebounds, 15 assists, and just look dominant doing it because of the way he plays. And I don't even know if that explained Anthony's point or anything like that. It's just the way that Jokic does it. It seems like it's more impactful on the team's success than Embiid necessarily.
And to be honest, go ahead.
I say the way I always explained it to myself is Embiid is the more physically, he's the better. Just if I had to pick somebody to score 1-on-1, I'd pick Embiid. I think he's the better scorer, but I think Jokic guarantees you pretty much a top 3 offense. So Embiid's going to get you his individual stats, but just having Jokic on your team, we saw last year, they ran into the Warriors with a starting backcourt like Monty Morris, Austin Rivers, and that team still had a top 5 or offense last year, top 10.
And you have to factor in like injuries too, because I mean you had like as far as other players getting a chance, like you have KD who got hurt when he was in Brooklyn. He was maybe not in the conversation, but he was probably top three, top four MVP. You had Tatum probably up there, but for some reason it's Jokic and Embiid. I mean, you had to factor in injuries. AD got hurt. I know, Kai, you're gonna laugh at me, but and he was playing MVP caliber basketball before he went down with that first injury. But now, I mean, what? I mean, yeah, he wasn't in the MVP talks, but he had the MVP numbers to
AD
back
did
it
it
up.
for 1 week, and then he was gone for like 6 weeks.
But I'm
That's who
saying,
AD
like,
is.
but like now I'm just saying, my point is injuries too with other players to like get that chance to get to the MVP talks. I mean,
When the NBA season starts, I know AD's missing about 30 games. I'd place a bet on that in Vegas every year. If I'd done that, I'd be a billionaire by now. You write that in stone. I have no problem doing that. Other guys, I'd be iffy. All right, that's all I'm saying. And yes,
but it's like I guess my point is
I
like
like
who.
AD's game. It's just that
Mhm.
he's never gonna be healthy enough.
Well, I guess my point is like I mean, what other players on the MVP race can eclipse Joel Embiid and so
Well,
injuries were
one
a
thing I'll
factor.
say is I still struggle to figure out why Tatum completely like fell out of the race. I don't get that. I mean, I don't think it was Tatum's time anyway. I feel like Tatum's one of those who this year him being in it helps him out next year. We know how the NBA likes to do that with players, but uh cash Canadian. And look, to go back to AD, that's the more frustrating thing about him. Like, if he's on the court, he has these stretches where he's dominant. But then look at the other night against the Knicks. I thought he should have done way more against that Knicks team, and he didn't. And then that's the frustrating part too. It's like you're not hurt. So what happened against the Knicks? Like you were getting locked up by Hartenstein? Like, give me a break. Hartenstein was locking you up. Come on, AD. You know you're better than that. And I get it. He had like the 15 rebounds and all that, but without LeBron and the way that Laker team is, he should be 30
I mean, other than
and every night.
I mean, if we would have won a game, it would have been a big game. But I mean, other than that, he's been going off, man. 39 and 15 here, 39, 40 and 20 here. It's like
Yeah, but
Eight,
go ahead, Brett.
AD
Go ahead, Brett.
I'll say AD when healthy, his like ceiling is MVP. Like this dude has the talent to win an MVP.
he does.
Not only is it health, it just seems it's mental with him. Some games he'll look and he'll be like, I'm the best player on the floor. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to show you I'm the best player on the floor. And then he goes for like 40 and 20. And then we'll watch him, and then he'll be the most timid guy ever, and you'll forget he's on the floor for 3/4 of the game. So that's my frustration. Isn't necessarily with the injuries. It just seems to be something mental with him. Like I want to see AD come out every game and tell everybody, I'm the best player on the floor. Let me show you real quick.
Right,
See,
right.
I'm not the only one who thinks that. That's all. That's
Yeah,
all.
I mean, Brett just made my point. If when healthy, AD is it should be in MVP conversations, but it's
When it comes to AD, you can't say when healthy. It's
I'll
just
say-
whether or not he's not going to be hurt too many times to not be in it.
Right.
Name a healthy season AD's had. Name one.
Wasn't it the bubble
Go
year?
ahead and say the bubble year when he had 3 months off in between. That's what it takes for AD to play a full season.
But I'm saying that was
Hey,
the
that's not the
that
regular
was the
schedule, though.
that was the circumstances.
Well, then AD better call up a pandemic every year.
Better.
It took a pandemic to get a full season out of him. That's not happening every year.
You can say that for every other player in the bubble. I mean,
But Giannis played the Hawks series where I thought he ripped his knee apart. He came back.
He said he came back against Phoenix the next round.
Yeah. If that was AD, he'd have missed 6 months. Like, what are we talking about? Jokic hasn't, pulled an AD yet. Tatum's been pretty durable. So, I mean, look, if AD were to ever put a full season together and win an MVP award, I'd high five him. I'm not betting on it though. And especially if this NBA Players Association thing goes through where they're going to put
I saw that
games
too.
that's on awards, AD, you might want to forget about all of them.
MVP ain't coming out of LA anytime soon, or out of California anytime soon, unless a Fox or Sabonis step it up.
That's a good point because between LeBron, AD, Kawhi, PG, games will be missed.
So what about this? So I think one of the analysts, not on this network, ESPN, I think Stephen A. Smith said that Jokic should not win MVP because of the way they're playing right now. I mean, think about it. I mean, Sacramento Kings are like 6 games behind them. I thought no other team can. I think Denver's at 46 wins. Sacramento's at 40 wins. So, I mean, with the slump they're on, that's why I said, is it too late for anybody to catch up? Like, is it too late for
who on Sacramento would you put in the conversation?
No, wait. As far as MVP or just no, I'm not saying anyone from.
I'm just saying if he's saying like Jokic shouldn't get because
he's saying no, he's saying Embiid should over because Joel's having a better stretch of games than Jokic right now.
But it's a complete season award, though. Every team's going to have little pockets in the season where they struggle.
I was just saying what he said. So I was just saying
Stephen A. likes to speak in like extremes way too much for me. It's like, oh, they're playing bad right now. Then okay.
Anthony does have a good point. Anthony, yeah, they're not USA players.
I would say, but the last 2 games that they lost, Jokic had a 35 and 37 point triple double.
35 and 37.
Yeah, I think it was last game he went for 35, and the game before he went for a 37-point triple double. So you can look at it as an overall team loss, but you look at the individual performance, like, okay, Jokic was his brilliant self. They just didn't win that one. Oh well.
And the Nuggets have such a lead in the West that if they drop a game or 2 here or there, they probably still win the 1 seed in the West.
I was gonna say they've lost 4 in a row and they're still 6 games ahead of everybody.
That's just how the West is this year, man. It's like,
although shout out to Sacramento, I say this every time I get.
That beam is that purple beam is.
I got to give Mike Brown a lot of credit.
That purple beam is gleaming in the sky right now.
I think a lot of people doubted Mike Brown's coaching ability after Cleveland and all that. I think the time with Kerr and Golden State definitely helped him out because he's gone to Sacramento and he's turned that team into a winner. He probably is going to lock up Coach of the Year, maybe. I mean, there's still some other guys you could look at, but I feel like Mike Brown should get it if Sacramento's going to be a top 3 seed in the West.
I agree. I think it's Mike Brown should be the runaway winner at this point. Who expected this from the Kings?
I didn't. That's crazy.
Like, they looked real bad before he came last year. Even after the Sabonis trade, they didn't really know what to do with him.
He was the coach. Wasn't that Luke Walton?
We don't talk about Luke Walton. But, Mike Brown took some stuff that they were doing with Jokic over in Denver because Sabonis is the second best passing big in the league, and decided to utilize that motion offense to everybody's strengths, and it's worked beautifully.
Yeah.
It
came out of the Halliburton trade because most people thought Sacramento was dumb to make that move. And now that we look at it, it's really worked out for both because Halliburton went to Indiana, really kind of became a star. Became an all-star out of it. Sabonis has gone to Sacramento's turned around that culture out there. So it was one of the rare win-win trades for both cities. Although Sacramento's doing better this year than Indiana, but I'm a big Halliburton fan, but and De'Aaron Fox, I'm glad to see him have some success as well, because I've been a big De'Aaron Fox guy. Jordan, you probably heard me say this before. I thought the Lakers should have taken Fox over Lonzo Ball, but I'm not Magic Johnson.
I mean, they couldn't they taken a Tatum instead of Lonzo Ball?
I mean, I don't want to throw that in your face either, but yeah.
Yep, Tatum was the pick after Ball.
Yep. Thanks,
Tatum,
Magic.
Say Tatum is still number 5 in my MVP list. He's still top 5 for me. He's having such a phenomenal season. Although, I wouldn't be mad if somebody put him 4 though. So I just don't think he's top 3 is the issue.
Yeah. Jordan, what you talking about, man?
I mean, I heard you. I think Magic.
That's right. Because Magic tried to distance himself from all. That was Genie Bust. That wasn't me. No, it wasn't. It was all you. You sat at the press conference like, young man, your number's gonna be in the rafters. Okay. But
that's right.
I won't rub it in. I won't rub it in the Lakers' face anymore.
I forgot that happened.
It's okay. I can project in the next couple of years that Tatum's gonna be a Laker in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, I guess. So that's what after LeBron's retired, AD's retired because he's crippled, and your team is what? Hachimura and Malik Beasley. Yes, Tatum's going to join that squad.
I said 5 to 10 years, not 5 years.
Say that D'Lo, Jared Vanderbilt pick and roll going to entice him.
Yeah. And Bronny. Bronny.
I'll say LeBron's going to be in Orlando with Bronny, even though he said he'd rather retire than go to Orlando.
Man, imagine if the Knicks get him, Bronny, and then LeBron goes to New York.
Do you guys think Bronny's draft stock is like, let's say if Bronny was a really bad prospect, like he's just a bad player overall, do you think a team would still use like a higher pick to take him just for the prospect of getting LeBron? Like I know
Fuller's team would, yeah.
I say, because like I know, like I say I've seen the draft comps are giving him to like Marcus Smart, Drew Holiday. Like to me, that just sounds like the second best player or third best player on the championship team. He sounds like he can be a great contributor.
Hmm.
I'll say, yeah, but yeah, no, that's what I was thinking to myself all year. Like, is he just going to get drafted top 15 regardless, or like top 20 just because if you get Bronny, you also get Bron?
I mean, I've already heard what Jay Williams say. I would take Bronny if that meant I could get LeBron. So I'm sure some team's going to do it. You know, some team like Detroit or something, a team that's just trying to get attention may do it. Now, whether LeBron goes to Detroit, that's on you to figure out.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I would hope during the pre-draft process, if you were like, hey, Bronny, if we took you, think your dad would come over? No, let's go ask him. Hey, LeBron, we're thinking about drafting Bronny. You know, what you got going on? And if LeBron says there's no chance I'm setting foot in your city, I can't risk taking Bronny like 5, 6 or something. If there's like really good players there, no GM's gonna live that down if LeBron doesn't come with him.
So Bronny can get drafted in your next year's draft, right? Or 2 years from now? Because
I'm a junior in high school this year.
It's not this upcoming draft. I believe it's
no, not this year. I know, yeah, not that. I'm talking about the next year's draft, 2024.
Yeah, I believe it's next year's draft.
I think so.
I'm really excited to see who's going to tank for Bronny, man. It's going to be interesting.
But Brett just told you his player counts Marcus Smart. Would you tank for Marcus Smart? No. So why would you tank for Bronny?
I think a fun team to look out for, because hate to bring this up, I'm sorry, Jordan, but if the Lakers struggle,
I mean,
and the Pelicans get a really high pick, I think they could be a team to look out for.
No, you're right. Maybe Lakers tank and get Bronny, and then Bronny will play in LA with LeBron.
Well, no, because the Pelicans have all their picks from now to eternity. It doesn't really matter. They could go 1-81, and it doesn't really matter what they do.
Damn.
Yeah. I just got an alert about John Morant. Kind of interesting.
You're going to counseling, right?
Entered some Yeah, he entered some counseling program in Florida.
Good for him. Hopefully he's
Yeah.
able to better himself. Made some bad choices, but it's all about learning from your mistakes and becoming a better person. So, best wishes to Ja Morant.
Yeah, take the time away. Trim your inner circle. Have those conversations like, bro, you aren't helping me. You got to go.
It just
Sure,
can't
they may
happen
hate you
again.
for it, but
This can't happen again, man. Because when he gets into the league, like I'm gonna be on
he's going to have to
him to
repair
see
his
what his
image
next
for
move
sure.
is. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with Brett. Hopefully, this is him taking that first step to becoming a better player, better, dad, all that out of all this.
Mhm.
So,
Say
shout out to John Morant.
that Memphis team still got some interesting pieces, so that'll be
Mm-hmm.
fun to watch for the rest of the year. Been really high on Desmond Bain all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good one. Jaren Jackson, I like him, although sometimes he can kind of hover around the perimeter too much for me, but I like his game.
Like I said, I think the only guy's game I hate on that team is Dylan Brooks, and it's not even the defense. It's not even the fact it's just his shot selection is so bad. Like, bro, you're not him.
Yep.
And like, if it was just a situation where John Morant's hurt, now the volume is going up, it's one thing. But the fact that he was taking 15 shots a game with a healthy John Morant and a healthy Desmond Bain, like, what are you doing? Like, that's the only reason I hate watching him. Like,
Brett, I said all that too. And I sit through Marcus Smart games where if Marcus Smart takes 15 shots, people want to run him out of Boston. He's kind of gotten much better at that this year, but guys like that,
Marcus Smart.
they should be limited to like 8 shots tops. 8. And if you're on a heater, push it to 12. But Dylan Brooks with that, I don't know what his shot is like segmented. It's almost, I don't know. It looks weird when he takes them. He like front rims all these threes and he just continues to shoot them. I can't figure it out. I don't know. But maybe he came from the Patrick Beverly school of I'll hit one and I'll let you know that I hit that one and I'm gonna keep shooting them.
It's all right. I think my award for least favorite offense to watch in the league will be the Toronto Raptors this year. They ran away with that a long time ago. Have you ever got to watch a Raptors game this year? It is painful.
Yes, I have to watch it as a Celtics fan.
I feel bad for Fred VanVleet, man.
Dude,
he's the biggest scam artist up there.
Fred VanVleet just takes a heat check like his second shot in the game. Or he'll be 0 of 8 and then be like, you know what? 35-foot pull-up 3, go.
I think he'd be better on, or he'd be more like better on another.
He scammed Toronto with one good year, and he hasn't been anywhere near that since then. He's the biggest scam artist.
You said about Kyle Lowry too in Toronto. Like he's a scammer.
They got rid of him, and he's scamming Miami right now.
Say all they do is sit there and brick mid-rangers for like half the game. The only offense they get is their like transitional layups. So
yeah, because the Celtics fans who were talking about, should we want to see Miami in the playoffs? If Kyle Lowry's on the court, give me Miami any day. That guy should have retired probably after last year. He's just hanging on for a check at this point. He has no legs on his three-point shot, so if you give him one of those, he might hit one a game. That's all he can give you. Defensively, he's just going to flop for 4 quarters, hope he doesn't foul out. That's what Kyle Lowry's giving you at this point. But yeah, Brett, I agree with you. Toronto, watching them, it's rough right now. Yeah, everybody does like the same thing.
Yeah, they just got like an entire roster of 6-7 guys, and then there's Fred VanVleet, and it's just the worst thing ever. Definitely my least favorite team to watch right now. I think I'd rather watch a Pistons game. And that's saying a lot with Killian Hayes throwing up bricks over there all game.
Brett, we need to do more shows together. I can't stand Killian Hayes either.
Hey, I like him for one thing. I like him for one thing. Prize picks, take the under every time. Points, rebounds, and assists. They'll put him at like 20 under. Mm-hmm. every time.
That's definitely a benefit. But for Toronto though, the fact that they have Siakam run point, Siakam has the most generic handle package you will ever see, and he runs point for them. I saw that this year. I see he literally can only dribble with his right hand. It's borderline carry on every dribble, and he basically just dribbles into people, runs them over, and hope he doesn't get an offensive foul. That's his offense. People love it for some reason. I'm not high on him, but yeah, Toronto is a tough watch.
Right.
Jordan, you should check out a Toronto game, Jordan.
Huh?
You should check out a Raptors game. It'll make you feel better about the Lakers' struggles this year.
Yeah, I have the NBA League Pass. I gotta tune in.
Dude,
tune into Toronto.
They make the Lakers look like the 2017 Warriors every night. Like,
yeah. I mean, you may not have draft picks, but you can tell yourself at least you are not the Toronto Raptors.
Do they play today? Probably not. Toronto. No, they don't.
If they don't play,
I already know what I'm not tuning
all
into.
NBA games.
Oh man, they play the Nuggets tomorrow, so I'm gonna definitely tune in. Oh
yeah.
man,
So you'll see
that's the perfect game to watch.
You'll see the Nuggets' beautiful offense with Jokic, and then you'll see the Raptors combat that with Siakam, with generic player 1 and 2K dribble handle. That's what you'll see.
And then you'll get like a random Scotty Barnes pull-up mid-range jump shot at some point, and then a Fred VanVleet 32-footer, and that's like the entire offense outside of transition dunks.
Yep. And Nick Nurse whining the whole game on the sideline. That's Toronto basketball.
Yeah, I think they're playing on NBA TV tomorrow, so I have to tune into that.
They're subjected the country to that? Yikes. All right, I guess.
I mean, it's I guess it's the Nuggets, man. That's why the Jokic is on there.
Yeah, pick a different opponent. That's one of those games that Barkley used to go off when TNT would be like, coming up this week on NBA TV. So he's like, nobody's gonna pay for that game. Who wants to watch Toronto? I mean, I get it. I would watch it for the Nuggets.
Well, that's the first game. That's 7:30. Then Bryce Bucks play the Suns on at 10 o'clock.
See, at least that's something to watch. So yeah, suffer through Nuggets Raptors to get Bucks Suns. I guess if you're a degenerate basketball fan,
I mean,
like
what if the Bucks and Suns versus and then leading up to Nuggets and then
I can't really judge any game because I sat through a quarter where the Knicks and Magic scored a combined 15 points in like 2013. That was a hard to watch. It was like the Carmelo Anthony Knicks, but I think Carmelo Anthony was hurt that game.
But it's crazy that they're still in like the playoff hunt. They're 9 right now, so it's like
they need to fall out. I don't want them in the play. Their season can end when swap somebody else in. Swap in.
Hornets.
I'd rather see. No, I don't need to see the Hornets either.
Indiana.
I'd rather watch Indiana.
I'd rather
watch Banchero in Orlando than Toronto.
Banchero and him's three. He's like shooting 3% from 3 in the last month.
I'd rather watch that.
I do enjoy Paulo's game though. He's been killing it all year, outside of like that really rough like 3-point stretch he's been on.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I like Banchero's game too. I think Orlando, hopefully they can figure out what to do down there, because all these years where they went where their whole team was like 25 and under, and you're just like, which one of these guys are you building around? Hopefully Banchero's the guy that they finally decide on. It can put a winning team around him. But all right, I mean, coming up on an hour and a half, I feel like had another good episode. It was Anthony dropped in a couple of things here. Crazy how Nets are better team without Kyrie. I mean, I could have guessed that. I mean, look at Dallas right now with Kyrie.
Say Dallas getting taken out in the second round of the playoffs. I'm here for it. First, if they match up with the Lakers.
Yeah, I might actually root for the Lakers in that instance. Probably not, but I might. I would think about it. I probably still wouldn't, but I'd think about it. I guess to end it, do you guys think the whole Kyrie and Dallas thing works?
No.
Okay. I don't either.
Absolutely not. That was never. As soon as they made the trade, I said that wasn't going to work, and it just hasn't. Like, they look great on offense.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's another side of the ball they forget about, but
yeah.
Yeah,
and then now Kyrie's missing games because Luka's missing games, and it's like I feel like he's pulling this again.
If this was make it, take it, Mavericks are probably winning the title. Let's go with that.
That's a good point.
Man.
I feel like that's probably a good way to end the show. Definitely appreciate you, Anthony, in the chat. I mean, you brought some really good points and questions.
He was the only one in the chat, man.
That's all right. I mean, I don't care if it was just one person. He was in the chat throughout the show. That's good for me.
Is he in their group chat or no? Because I know there's Anthony Cobb and there's Melvin, but I don't think he's in our group chat.
I thought he is he not a part of the network? Anthony, if you're still there, you can let us know. But
are you a part of the Sports Empire Network, brother?
I mean, if not, appreciate you in the chat, and hopefully check us out on all of our other shows. I mean, Jordan and I will be back tomorrow for the Big Three. Brett, are you on top of the key? Sometimes.
I pretty much just see what days I have off, but I will be part of the wrestling show that's coming up. I'm going to be off every Tuesday starting next week or the week after.
Okay. That's going to be a fun show for all the wrestling heads out there. I'm kind of a part-time wrestling head, so I definitely will watch that. But yeah, so appreciate Brett coming on. No Brian and Gene. Really fun show having you on. Like I said, I can talk basketball with you any day.
Yeah.
Your knowledge is I mean, impeccable. So really appreciate you stepping up and joining Jordan and myself on here. Yeah. Hopefully get a chance to have you on again.
Anytime I'm free. If I'm free and not working, I'm down to join you guys whenever.
All right. That's cool. Man. But, I mean, Jordan, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
No, just like you said, you're gonna be on the show tomorrow with Dylan and Jake. You check that out, Big Three Podcast, and also Brett, if you want to get on my show. Even if it's not part of the network, you can still be a guest if you have time. Like Kyle said, you're definitely talk NBA is fun with you, man. The NFL. I don't know what's going on with the quarterback Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if he's officially a Jet. I know Brett was like, hold on. What are the reports, man? I don't see no report. Like, you're like, hold on. He got traded, question mark?
To knock on Aaron Rodgers with Brett here. I missed the opportunity. You need to retire. That's what you need to do.
So that's definitely a great topic for a different show.
Yes, absolutely. But
yeah. But other than that, man, it's been a good show. Gene, I know I'm gonna be on a cruise in April, so enjoy your cruise, man. And then Brian, hope you're doing well, man. Hopefully you'll be back next Monday.
Yeah,
we can get it going, man.
Yeah. But if not, we understand life.
I know Gene's gonna pick a bug with one of my takes. He's gonna mess me up. I'm gonna come after you for a Monday show. It's all good. I mean, it's all good.
At least he wasn't in the chat.
Right.
But yeah, so you guys tuning in, you know what you need to do. Hit the like button, subscribe to Sports Empire Network. A lot of great things going on here. Continue to grow each day. A lot of great personalities like Brett, big basketball mind. I mean, you already know about Jordan and myself. We're here every week. But yeah, really appreciate you guys. And we are here every Monday night, 7 p.m. for some good old barbershop sports talk. And with that, we're out. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you later.